Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Matt speaking to you from the third person. We have a very special episode of the Quantum of Conscience channel today. It's something we've done many times, but never in this official capacity. About a year ago, through one of his posters, Bill showed us the arcade game that youngsters play in the mall called Rabbit Holes. Well, with Matt as your host, we'll play that game on the Quantum of Conscience channel about once a week. Not to dive into it and give the not milk our energy and attention and loosh and feed it exactly what it wants. To dive into the bog just for a little bit and then come out and say, this world is ridiculous. It's not possible to continuously be shown something, and when you spend just 5 minutes announcing to the not milk you're giving it your attention, all this other horse shit starts coming, and one thing leads to the next. The same minions and the same names keep coming over and over again. Then you jump out of the bog and you say, no real world could do this. Today's episode of Rabbit Holes comes from Aaron. It's Walk with Amal. I looked at it for 5 minutes, and the rabbits started jumping up on my lap. Wait till you see this absolute horse shit. So I'm putting my quarter in now. I'll be your guide and play this video game on your behalf. All you have to do is sit back, put your feet up, smoke your Peter Stuyvesants, or drink your beer, relax. I will be your host in today's episode of Rabbit Holes. Perhaps you'll be able to play in the future. So as Lord Voldemort said in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, begin. A little girl on a big journey. Little Amal is the 12-foot puppet of a 10-year-old Syrian refugee child at the heart of The Walk. She has become a global symbol of human rights, especially those of refugees. Since July 2021, Amal has traveled over 6,000 miles to 97 towns and cities in 15 countries and been welcomed by more than 1 million people on the street, including hundreds of artists and civil society and faith leaders, as well as by tens of millions online. Her journeys are festivals of art and hope that draw attention to the huge numbers of children fleeing war, violence, persecution, each with their own story. Her urgent message to the world is, don't forget about us. Now, before going any further, I want to make it clear that I'm not some sick asshole that's going to make fun of tens of millions of refugees that this not milk has made to suffer. The not milk has used the refugee crisis situation. Yes, it's very real in countries like Syria when the not milk comes in and destroys your country. So yes, these people are hurting. Okay, many people were put into this situation, and it's not their fault. The not milk did it to them. I'm certainly not going to in any way try to bring these people down, but they are pawns and puppets in a greater not milk chess match. Of course they are. So let's make that clear. So how this started was, Aaron sends this to me. I watch about a minute and a half of it, and I go, there's just something that just stinks as usual, something not right with this. And then the rabbits start popping their little heads up out of their holes, and here they come to jump on my lap. The first thing I notice is, why is Amal's logo here on the website not exactly the logo from Burning Man, but it's about as close as you possibly can get. Then I become fixated on the name itself. Why would they pick Amal, A-M-A-L? What happens if you add a few more letters? Like the Coldplay album, I'm talking about Coldplay, released in live performances in 2001. Animals, Coldplay, 2001. Animals, we are disposable, collapsible. Yeah, Coldplay singing that in 2001. Never made it on to A Rush of Blood to the Head as it was supposed to. They're singing that just months before the big day. Animals, we are collapsible, disposable. And then, I don't know, maybe it's a stretch by a crazy person. Then I go back and watch that video again, which loops on the website every 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes of video. It just loops over and over and over again. And I'm like, well, okay, this is how the arms work. People on either side control the arms with poles, but what about the legs, or how does it move? Well, there's somebody inside. I'm watching the video again. Somebody's standing inside, and they have their legs in the legs, and that's how it slowly walks. It's a gigantic 12-foot puppet. I'm like, this looks like something. What does this look like? And then I look at her logo, and then I look back at the Burning Man logo, and I'm like, the person standing inside this is the damn Wicker Man. this is the, I don't know, take your pick of whatever version you like. The more classic one was it the late 60s, the original Wicker Man? Pretty interesting movie. I've only seen clips of it. I've never seen it straight through. But then, was it Nick Cage or whatever that redid? I'm like, it just screams out, this is The Wicker Man. Now, it would be a little bit of a stretch, and you'd be one of those people, if it wasn't the same logo as the Burning Man, which is exactly the ending of the Wicker Man. Are you seeing where I'm going here? This is a very interesting game of rabbit holes. So coming up, I'm going to talk about the end of the movie, The Wicker Man, and I want to remind you, there is no spoiler here for a movie that's over 50 years old. That's not possible. You're going to be upset at me for spoiling a movie where the original version is over 50 years old? I would say, if you're upset at me, get your head out of your ass and find the time to see a movie that's over 50 years old. Sorry. The end of The Wicker Man. Okay, that's coming in a moment. First, a little bit of background about The Wicker Man. I don't know, this guy comes from Scotland Yard, whatever that is, or a police officer from Scotland or the Irish coast or the English coast or the Welsh coast. There ain't no difference to an American. He comes to this island or something, and there's this cult, very pagan. I think somebody puts on the Minotaur head or something, very much like that horrible, horrific, wretched movie Midsommar, whatever. Could watch about 5 minutes of it before I had to turn it off. He's investigating, I don't know, a missing person or a death or something, and he's on the island a while, and at some point, a little bit into the movie, he finds out there's going to be a sacrifice. And the sacrifice is his broke ass. He's going to be... Now, the sacrifice is they put him into this giant... Just like the Burning Man. They put him into this giant wood structure, and they light his broke ass on fire. That's the end of the movie. Again, sorry about the person yelling at me about spoilers. Get your head out of your ass. They burn him at the end of the bod. It's the end of the Wicker Man. I think that happens in the Nick Cage version too, but that is even more unpalatable for me to watch that version. So then you've got, wait a second, you've got the parallels between the same logo of the Burning Man, where they were just caked in mud and Chris Rock was able to flee on the back of a pickup truck. The Burning Man, where they burn the same thing at the end, just like the Wicker Man. You have the same logo for Amal. Amal's walking around. Her name is really something else if you add a few different letters. She's walking around with this guy inside, this wicker thing. Looks like Nick Cage about to get his ass burned, but this is the puppeteer inside Amal. Either we're just clearly seeing the not milk innuendos, whatever that means, or we're crazy one of those people. Now I hear you. You're saying that's not bad, Matt. It's not bad for the first Donkey Kong level of the arcade game rabbit holes. But if you don't come up with some more, you're going to be labeled as one of those people. So what else you got, old man? What toppings you got, old man? Remember we did that skit? Was it de Blasio saying if you go down and you rent your movie, you get your Shake Shack or something? You get a burger and a shake or something if you go down and rent that Carl Weathers movie? What toppings you got, old man? Anyway, as Clubber Lang said to Rocky in the first fight, I got a lot of mo. So I continue to explore the website, where the puppet's going to pop up next in your hometown, how to get involved, the impact, where the money's going. And okay, the About Us. Who's involved in this? Okay, the walk, and this is the Handspring Puppet Company's involved to put this big monstrosity together. And here are the backers. Oh, here we go. The Doris Duke Foundation for Islamic Art. Doris Duke? Well, unless that's Duke and Duke, Randolph and Mortimer Duke. I don't know who that is. I'll give him a pass, whatever. Oh, no. The Bloomberg Philanthropies is behind this. Michael Bloomberg. Now, see, we're getting to the very heart of the not milk. There aren't many creatures that slither lower across the rocks than Michael Bloomberg. And you can smell the sulfur in the air. Uh-oh. Did the desert just switch over to one of the plains of hell? We're now in the heart of the not milk, and oh no, what's next? The Bezos Family Foundation. Now, the ugly head of his charitable arm has never popped up in front of me before. Just the Melvin P. and Belinda Gates Foundation. We're very familiar with that. Isn't he going to be like Warren Buffett? Isn't he just going to give all his money to the Gates Foundation so they can dole it out? Apparently not. The Bezos Family Trust, for the first time, rears its ugly head before Quantum of Conscience. If you're new here, let's do 2 minutes or less on what I believe these gigantic billion-dollar, megalithic, philanthropical organizations, if that's a word, are all about. At the base level, somebody's helped at some point during the year. If you sit in front of the Melinda and Melvin P. Foundation and just sit out there, all just camp out with a tent, at some point somebody has helped. You will eventually see a charitable act It's rare. I mean, once a year, maybe they run a van up and down Market Street. They got leftover hamburgers from McDonald's. They were going to throw them out because they were expired, or from the day before. They filled the back of a one white van and they ran up and down Market Street and they said, "Here's your hamburger." Any homeless, and the homeless came up and they just shoved the hamburgers in the hand. Look, we're a charitable organization. At some point, you'll see a charitable act. But for the most part, my observation has been that the billions, not just the money for the van, that's just a rental. They didn't even pay for that van. And the hamburger meat that's expired, the billions and what could truly help people, that just goes around in a circle amongst and between themselves. So it goes from $1 billion organization that doesn't need the money to another $1 billion organization that doesn't need the money through this $1 billion organization. And each time there's a charitable act, somebody gets the hamburger, maybe they do a cookout or something, whatever. There's a little bit of a charity, paper plates are issued, but the billions keep flowing around. And every time they hit a new organization that don't need the money, it's tax deduction, write off, tax deduction, write off. And then I think that the original dollar that went out from the Melvin P. Foundation, that original dollar probably comes back, washed and cleaned. I could talk about these quote charitable organizations all day long, but we need to move on. So, okay, I've never seen this name before, the Bezos Family Foundation. It's got to be related to Jeff Bezos, right? So I'll just do a quick Wikipedia on it. I go over the Bezos Family Foundation is a philanthropic, that's the word, not philanthropical, whatever. Or it's a philanthropic organization based in the United States, co-founded by Jackie and Miguel Bezos in 2000. But Jackie and Miguel Bezos, where's Jeff? Who's Jackie and Miguel? Co-founded by Jackie and Miguel. They're major donors, billionaires. They donated $700 million to this cancer center, and they gave $100 million. It says it right here. In the same year, they gave $100 million to Dolly Parton. It doesn't say anything else. It says they gave $100 million to Dolly Parton. I don't know why she would need the charity, but it's not really explained here. I thought, well, what the hell is this? So I can click on Jackie Bezos. Jacqueline Bezos, an American billionaire, provided the initial investment to launch Amazon.com. We'd never heard this before. All right, then who's this? Let's click over here. Who's this Miguel Bezos? Is this Jeff's father? Here's the Wikipedia on him. Miguel Bezos, commonly known as Mike, what the heck, is a Cuban-American billionaire from blah, blah, blah. He also provided the initial investment to launch Amazon.com, the adoptive father of Jeff Bezos and father of Mark Bezos. Early life, born in 1945 or 1946, he don't even know, in Santiago, Cuba. The family were supporters of the Fidel Castro regime until, it says here, Castro shifted his political stance towards Marxism-Leninism. That would be a small, you could say, hurdle, if you will, or hindrance if you're trying to set up the largest corporation in the world. Miguel, your little son Jeff here, what does he want to do with himself? Does he want to be a firefighter? Does he want to be a sugarcane plant operator? No, he's going to set up the largest corporation in the world, and it's going to sell absolutely everything and put every single mom and pop shop in the known world out of business. Well, Miguel, that's a problem. Didn't you hear? Castro just shifted toward Marxism-Leninism. Really? He was such a capitalist yesterday in that green military outfit. Was it really a shift, Wikipedia? Was Fidel really a capitalist until he shifted? Come on. He was a capitalist, I think, Fidel, probably for one day. He was about 12. He set up like a lemonade stand somewhere in Havana. So he put some cookies out, didn't sell a damn thing. Not a one, not even a hot penny. And then at the end of the day, he just pushed it all off onto the grass and onto the street. He said, enough of this capitalist horse shit. I'm going to emulate Russia, and after my coup d'etat is over, I'm going to cozy up to their broke asses. Then it says here that dastardly Castro regime seized the Bezos family lumber business. So the family applied for Miguel at age 16 to get a refugee visa to go to the United States, and the application was successful. He departed Havana Airport for Miami on July 21st, 1962. Upon arrival in the U.S., Bezos Miguel was housed at Camp Matecumba, along with about 400 other Cuban refugee children. Guys, do you remember the first 15 minutes of the movie Scarface with Al Pacino, where Al Pacino as Scarface came to Miami, was put in a camp with his friend, along with about 400 other Cuban refugees? You don't think that Scarface is some sort of cryptic metaphor for Amazon.com? It continues. Look what's coming up next. 3 weeks later, Bezos and his cousin Angel were relocated to Wilmington, Delaware. So Miguel Bezos and Angel come in to Miami. In Scarface, it was Angel and Scarface, Tony Montana, who went to see in the initial scene, well, after they washed dishes for 5 minutes, they went to do that cocaine deal with the Colombians. Remember that scene on Miami Beach in the hotel room? He's like, "You got the money?" "Yeah, you got the yeho." It doesn't go real well for Tony. They put him in the shower just like anybody would have in a hotel room. They pull out a chainsaw, try to take a chainsaw to him. Well, that's what later he says that Angel was killed. Angel, and he says later to Frank Lopez, "It cost my friend Angel his life." Angel was killed in that hotel room. Miguel Bezos came in with Angel. Remember, he wants to deliver the money and the yeho directly to Frank Lopez. Omar's like, "Give it to me. I'll give you." Like, "No, Omar, you're a cockroacha. I'm gonna give it to Frank myself." Remember, it cost my friend Angel his life. So you got Tony Montana. Am I one of those people? You got fleeing Cuba, fleeing the Castro regime. You got a camp you got Miami. You got a camp for Cuban refugees. You got Scarface. You got Bezos, Scarface. You got Angel. I call it a stretch if you want. I don't think it is. Finishing up the reading at the bottom of the Wikipedia, in 1995, Jacqueline and Miguel gave Jeff Bezos a loan of $245,573. It's not a little bit of an odd number. No, I don't care to look into the gematria or play. It's just weird. All right, nobody's going to give their son a weird number. I mean, maybe they would give him $250,000 or $245,573. "Well, Dad, you said you'd give me $576, and you're taking the $3 off." I mean, what doesn't make? They're creepy in everything they do. It says leaving both Jackie and Miguel with 6% equity. Yeah, that makes sense. You can't assume Jeff's sitting on 10 million, so that extra 250,000 only equated to 6%. One can assume that this was like the main amount to start Amazon, so Jackie and Miguel should own like 90% of the company. You ever watch that stupid Shark Tank? And Mr. Wonderful, he gives you his $400,000. He takes 55% of the company. You don't take, "Oh, I'll give you the $500,000 you need for your little Shark Tank startup." "Oh, what do you want?" 6%. Leaving them both with 6%. Bull crap. Well, Matt, after it went public and everything, whatever. Who cares? It says, for crying out loud, it says the foundation gave $100 million to Dolly Parton. When you read that, you stop reading. Always presented as a bullcrap rags to riches story. Castro took the lumber company. The Cuban immigrant came in as Tony Montana to Miami to wash dishes, and he was able to save money through hard work. And he had a son that had an idea for a company, and they gave him about $250,000, and then it turned into hundreds of $billion. And the message to the people in the masses and the proletariat and the great unwashed is, you can do it too. Oh, sure. Yeah, just anybody. If you can get $250,000 together, you can be the next 100 billionaire. And it's all rags to riches. Bull crap. It's all, if anything, it's the old money. It's the old money, and the names like Vanderbilt and Harriman and Rothschild, and names that they say have no money anymore, probably sitting on trillions, like Rockefeller. They say they're down to like 25 billion when they're worth probably trillions. It's the old money that's always involved. That's why Miguel shares 6%, because that hardcore pipe-hitting old money's in there probably as well. Jeff Bezos probably can't buy a corn dog without their permission. Hello, Duke and Duke? Yes? Is this Randolph or Mortimer I'm speaking to? It's Mortimer. Who's this? It's Jeff. Who? Jeff Bezos, who runs Amazon.com for you. Oh, what do you want? Well, I'm at the county fair. I'd like to buy a second corn dog, and I know I'm over my limit, and maybe a little cotton candy. Can you open up my funds for me so I can buy another corn dog? No. No? Well, I was hoping for some cotton candy as well, sir. No. You're over your $1,000 a week. Now don't call here again. Let's just say I don't buy the rags to riches escape Cuba $250,000 loan story. I think Jeff's probably richer than I suggest he is, but I would bet he has partners and interests that are really in control. But that's just me. I think the same goes with other puppet people like Elon Musk. And Facebook, just Mark Zuckerberg just is presented in the movie, which is completely believable. The Social Network. He was just drunk one night and he just started doing face mash or whatever and breaking into the dormitory registries of pictures and shit, and you could vote on girls, thumbs up, thumbs down, and you just turn that into, I don't know, $100 billion, a website, just some kid that walking around in a hoodie at Harvard. He had no partners. Oh yeah, the Sean Fanning came in, the broke ass who started Napster. That's just that one guy. Yeah, he didn't have partners like, I don't know, the deep state or the old money that has had trillions since the mid 1800s. Nah, it's just a guy with a website. And if you don't believe the Social Network movie is real, then you're one of those people. Matt, getting back to what you were talking about in the first 5 minutes of this presentation, and I fully understand why you went into all these weird different offshoots and places, because the whole point of the show is rabbit holes, and one rabbit hole leads to a next in a fake reality. But getting back to what you were saying, I kind of see that the Wicker Man, and I see that the logo for Amal looks just like the Burning Man logo, and I do see the tie to the Wicker Man, and whatever you're saying about Coldplay, animals we are. I see all that. So you tell me, Matt, what's the symbolism that the Not Milk is presenting? What do you think they're trying to say? I have no idea. I'm just pointing out that this presentation in the Amal puppet is obviously there. Did you think I would be able to interpret their creepy ways for you? I never went to no Eyes Wide Shut parties. I never joined nobody in no pentagram. How the heck would I know? I wasn't involved with it. Was it Jacques Sonnier or whatever, the creepy curator of the Louvre in the beginning of the Da Vinci Code or whatever? Sophie kind of like peered through the window. Remember, he was I don't know, some sort of sex magic going on. I don't participate. How the heck do I know their creepy ways? I can just sniff it out and say, there's a creepy presentation taking place here. If I had to guess, I could probably put someone in the ballpark on Free Voice. I'm certainly not going to discuss it here about the representation of this puppet regarding, what their intentions are with how they move these refugees around the world to reshape the world into the sick image that they want. But in terms of the relationship to the Wicker Man or the Burning Man, who knows? We'll never know their intentions in those weird places. And I don't want to put the Minotaur head on and find out. Do you want to put the Minotaur head on and you can wear the Minotaur head to an Eyes Wide Shut party and try to engage with these? There's a different type of entity than you are. It's fun to point it out. And again, I wouldn't even be doing this type of video if it wasn't for, remember, the arcade game is called Rabbit Holes. And the point of this presentation is that's like a metaphor for reality itself. No real world could keep presenting this level of conspiracy where we have these same connections. And what a coincidence. A few clicks into looking into it, I start seeing these relationships. And then the Bezos Foundation comes in, which leads to this, which leads to that. It's just the same thing that plays out. It's like when you put your quarter in Donkey Kong, the first level looks the same. It's always the same. Donkey Kong's not the real world. This isn't a real world. It always looks the same. Here come the barrels in the same way, and the gorilla at the top of Donkey Kong jumping up and down. Level 2 looks the same. It repeats. These themes repeat. No real world could keep doing this. It's become a joke, a complete joke at this point. So again, I teach an Amish class here. The purpose is very simple: to point out the endless bog and to get people to leave it all behind and focus on part 2. What are you doing in this reality in a tiny little short lifetime? What were you supposed to do here for your spiritual whole? I assure you, your spiritual whole did not need you to incarnate into this thing called Earth to do Tartaria research or mud flood research. From the perspective of anything outside this snow globe, even the part of you that's probably outside this snow globe, this life is like a fraction of a millisecond. It's like nothing It doesn't even seem long to us now. If you're over 45, it seems like it's going by so quickly. If you're over 50, I mean, at some point, fine, in our 20s, it seems like, oh, a life of 70, 80 years plus, so that's a long time. I've got time is on my... See, everything's backwards. No, it's not, Mick. You jerk. Time isn't on anybody's. Time is on the not nilk side because it doesn't have to distract you very long from your part two. From the not nilk has a better understanding of time and how it's all perception. It doesn't need to distract you very long. I just need to keep people involved in this and that. Oh, these people are about to wake up over here, this few million of called truthers, and they're awake to a degree. Oh, we'll throw a million pieces of the bog and conspiracy at their broke asses, and they'll be worried about what happened in Dealey Plaza till the day they go into their grave. None of them will keep them so distracted with conspiracy and the deep state and all this they'll say focus on us and our minions and everything, that they won't even understand that they're here in life to do the work, and we're going to make sure they don't do it, the dumb sons of bitches. It's very simple. It really is. What the not nilk's out to do to real people is about 2 sentences. What real people need to do for themselves, the meaning of life, is about 2 sentences. I don't want to lose you. That's why I try to inform and also entertain the best that I can. I would say abandon everybody else but me. Technically I'd say abandon it all, but I can't say to abandon me. I can't get no cubicle corporate job no more. This is what I do. This is an Amish classroom, and even the graduates and the Jedis and the old guard can still sit in the front rows forever. I don't want to lose you, but I'm not going to lie to you either. It's a few sentences. I think there's still time for my videos if you spend all the other time doing the work. And the work in part 2, we're going to talk about all the other possibilities and not just ignoring pool chemical smells. There's other parts to part 2 that we'll explore as the book chapters go on. Thanks for listening.